Well, we had a lot of fun the other day with our Mark Carney video. Then we did a pee-pee video. How about a Danielle Smith video? All my videos are usually off the cuff. I don't plan them. It just comes out in my head and I say what I need to say. I'll pause my recording halfway through, go Google something, figure out how I want to say it, and then record it. I don't make scripts. I don't gather information. But one of my amazing followers does. So they have given me an entire list of things that I can cram into one video because I don't make scripts. So bear with me as I read some of the things. Danielle Smith pushed through the Alberta Sovereignty within a United Canada Act, which was widely criticized as a full frontal attack on the rule of law by both legal scholars and political opponents who argue it opens the door to constitutional disunity. The reason she passed this act was so that at any time if she disagreed with rules or policies that the federal government gave to the provinces, she could just stand and put her hand up and be like, no, not today. She literally wanted the right for her province and her to be able to take the rights away from people in the province if those rights were funded by federal dollars. So, for example, if the government decided that schmobortion should be covered for everyone, which they do, Danielle could just decide that it's government overreach and have the province take over and order municipal and provincial services to halt. She could basically suspend or cease enforcement of any federal law in the province. Boy, that sounds like a great idea. Moving on. She has eased the process for an independence referendum, reducing it to just 177,000 signatures, down from 600,000. She has also amplified separatist tensions in Alberta, despite the legal and logistical barriers still being immense. See, here's the thing. Danielle Smith knows that will never happen. Alberta is bound by Indigenous treaty. Those treaties were made before Alberta's borders were even drawn. The land does not belong to her. So without the full cooperation of the First Nations, she has nothing. She also knows fiscally it can't happen either. You think she's going to stop paying federal taxes and provide everything that your province needs with zero help from the government, and you think Alberta can afford to do that by itself? When oil and gas is doing good, Alberta's great. But what happens if the government decides they're not going to bail out the oil and gas industry next time? What happens when oil drops to $50 a barrel for some sudden reason? You know, reasons that we can't control because it's a global thing. If the price of oil suddenly drops, Alberta's broke. They can't afford to pay what they've got, let alone anything they're no longer getting from the feds. So she knows it's not going to happen. But her separatist rhetoric is what's keeping everyone angry at the libs. So she has to pretend that she thinks it's going to happen. She's just stoking the anger in these people to get them to keep pushing forward. But she actually told the Forever Canada petition group that because they submitted their request before the law was changed, oh, sorry, you guys have to get 293,000. I'm sure her and Trump and good old Kevin O'Leary have been having conversations about putting in AI buildings in Alberta. Allegedly. Full disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only and does not accuse anyone of anything. Moving on. She had an Alberta Next panel, and she's traveling around the province with it to meet with people on the road to hear their concerns. She was literally accused of bluffing, contradiction, misinformation, and attempting to recover from her own policy missteps rather than taking responsibility. Oh, like the tainted Tylenol scandal that Alberta citizens are still paying for. Or hey, how about the $290,000 carpet in her office? Ooh, what about the healthcare scandal? Or wait, the book ban that wasn't a book ban that they've now reversed course on. Good job, by the way, Alberta. Oh, speaking of spending money, Smith claimed to be unaware of changes to rules that removed public disclosure of expense receipts, raising serious transparency and accountability concerns. She literally wanted to change the policy on transparency of receipts and things that were being submitted so that, other people weren't able to analyze those receipts or audit them at all. Oh, speaking of healthcare scandal, her government's corrupt care scandal, marked by rushed restructuring of Alberta Health Services, has triggered backlash as the premier blamed resisting bureaucrats rather than addressing systemic issues. Right. It's the same thing Doug Ford's doing over here in Ontario. They chronically defund the healthcare system so that it suffers. Then they refuse to pay the workers a half-decent wage. So now people are burnt out and quitting because it's not worth their brain function anymore. So now the system is crumbling because there's no workers. Doctors are getting increasingly frustrated, no nurses, no PSWs. Small clinics start to close because they can't stay open. I feel like deja vu. Because if you can prove how broken the system is, then we must have to privatize it. That's the answer. Both Danielle Smith and Doug Ford right now are pushing the same agenda. We need to privatize healthcare so people can get surgeries faster. People would get surgeries faster if you just funded the hospitals. Just do that. Just fund healthcare, hire nurses, pay the doctors better. Yeah, that would fix it. But I digress. Oh, let's get into more healthcare stuff. Not to mention white woman syndrome. Smith declared unvaccinated people the most discriminated against group she had experienced. Really? Out of all the people in the world that have been discriminated against, we can't have the unvaccinated getting discriminated against. Oh, the horror. So not only did she downplay discrimination, but she also contradicted scientific advice during the pandemic because, anti-vax stuff. Separatists, PP supporters, the group. She actually compared vaccinated citizens to Nazis and floated sending Alberta's chief medical officer to jail for public health orders. Comments widely regarded as inflammatory and irresponsible. You think? Well, we all know she doesn't care about the health of Albertans. How does she feel about the environment? Well, let's see. Her government lifted coal bans for the Grassy Mountain project, exempting it from tighter environmental rules, sparking fears of regulatory capture and threats to Alberta's ecosystems. The Grassy Mountain project is a coal mine. A big-ass coal mine. Do you have any idea what a coal mine does to an environment? Not only do they strip the surface of the land of all trees, nature, or anything else that lives there, but the amount of dust that is leached into the air every time a load is dumped or anything is moved, every time a car drives through the parking lot, those clouds of dust land on everything. And I'm not talking just some dust on your car. I'm talking your rivers and streams are now getting filled with soot. There's Indigenous communities in the area that rely on nature for food, like fish that are in that water, or berries that are now covered in dust, or any plants or herbs for that matter. Not to mention the animals that are going to drink out of the river. The people of Alberta said no. She rammed it through anyway. So not only did she do all that and trample all over Indigenous rights, she attended a press conference. A press conference that had to do with what happened in the residential schools. A conference about some unmarked graves being found. And what did she do? The white woman showed up in an Indigenous ribbon skirt. You realize those skirts are sacred, right? You don't just get to wear one. Ribbon skirts have meaning and history and prayer behind them. We know you don't care about anyone but yourself, Marlena. Figured I'd throw that last one in there. Considering of all the trans individuals that she's slandered over these years, and all the people in the LGBTQ community who she's hurt, and the hateful, ignorant rhetoric that she has. If trans people aren't allowed to identify as they want to, then neither should you. Your real name is Marlena. Danielle's your preferred name. But I don't think I should be forced to use your preferred name. So we're going to call you Marlena from now on. I see you, Alberta. I know you're all not separatists. I know there's many, many, many of you who are reasonable, wonderful people who do not like this woman. And for those of you who are standing up and making your voices heard, bravo. I'm going to link 2 creators below that you should follow if you want updates on what's going on in Alberta. I am very proud of these young women. And if I could be right beside them, I would be. Support them with everything you can. Go Alberta.